What is up, guys? Today is July 5th. We're going to be going over 5 charts. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, AAVE, ADA, and XRP. If you guys are new here, please do hit the subscribe button. We go over 5 charts every day. That's going to be the goal going forward. Eventually, I would like to do 5 charts in the morning, 5 charts in the evening, always starting off with Bitcoin, Ethereum, since they do lead the markets. Feel free to leave a comment down below because that is where I will be looking to figure out what charts you guys want to see. So if you guys are new here, again, please do hit the subscribe button. This is a new channel. I'm gonna work on it as we go, guys. I appreciate you guys, and let's just jump right into it. All right, guys, starting out with Bitcoin's daily chart. We're going to be looking at the daily chart. We're going to look at the 4-hour chart. We're going to look at something called the Ichimoku cloud, which is something I check up on every day. And we're going to look at the 1-day and the 4-hour on that. But don't worry about the details too much. I promise I'll make it all make sense by the end of this. So let's start off with the daily chart. Price has pulled back as I wasn't expecting it to pull back this much so quick. With Ethereum pumping towards its test net, I figured there would be some more upwards price action. But what we're seeing here is just weak Bitcoin. That's really all it is. It's been on this downtrend that I was kind of watching. I kind of saw that it was pushing up against resistance and this downtrend, and it goes a lot further back, but it definitely is holding true. However, at the same time, if you guys look here, there is a bit of an uptrend starting off here on May 19th, which was this crash here. So it is trending up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as it gets kind of around, I think it's going to be like July 12th, which is like about a week away. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But for now, we're going to look for how this could play out in the coming days, because that's really all I ever try to keep my focus on in terms of price predictions or analysis. I don't think it's necessary to go too much further ahead than that. Currently, my price target still is 32, and I'm going to explain to you guys why that is. So for those of you guys that follow me on Twitter, you guys do know, and if you guys watched my last video as well, you know that I've kind of capped this pump at 39K there, 37K there, and 36K here, none of which I would consider bullish. It's just kind of as high as I can see that going. To be honest, this higher end, I don't see that being possible, and I'm going to show you guys why. So I mentioned earlier the Kumo cloud, or the Ichimoku cloud, and the reason for that being is that this is a chart I check every day, and it's not something you guys need to worry about too much. I know it looks like a lot if you've never seen it. It's actually a very straightforward chart, and I'd be down to do some videos about it in the future, or you guys are always free to look into it yourself. But the basic rules of the Ichimoku cloud indicator is that when you are above the Kumo cloud, you make sure that you go long. When you are below the Kumo cloud, which is this thing, I should probably point out what the cloud is to you guys. When you are below the Kumo cloud, you go short-term trades. In fact, you generally do not want to hold anything long when you're below the cloud. When you are inside the cloud, you don't trade. It's not something you got to follow exactly. It's just something I check up on because it does give you some visuals about support, resistance, and what else is happening aside from just looking at the basic Fibonacci levels or looking at basic charts. So if you take a look at the Kumo cloud on the 1-day chart, you can kind of see that every time we've run into the cloud, it's kind of acted as resistance here, right? So right now we are pushing towards the cloud again, which is kind of capped off around 37K, which incidentally is also where I've kind of capped the push for this. 39K is possible, but if you look at the cloud here, 39K would be pushing pretty deep in here. I think judging by what's happened, that's unlikely. If that does happen, that would be very interesting. It would be a little bit more bullish than 37K. But I don't think that's something where you're going to see currently. So if we come back here to the 1-day chart, my price target still remains 32K for Bitcoin. The stochastic RSI is pretty high, but it is riding support. And if you look at the 4-hour chart, we are pretty low. And it's low on the 1 hour, it's low on the 2 hour, it's low on all the hourlies. And you do see that long wick is holding around 33K. So it is possible that in the coming days, again, leading up to the July 7th testnet for Ethereum, we do see a bit of a pump. I would say 35, 36K at most, maxed out by this 200 EMA here again. And again, if you look at the Kumo cloud, that makes sense. So using these 2 different indicators and 2 different chart patterns, it kind of gives us an idea of what Bitcoin could do in the coming days. So currently, again, that's where I'm capping it. I imagine once it hits here, it's going to pull back. And if you kind of take a closer look here, that's around 32K is where it would pull back to, around 32, 33K. So price target for Bitcoin still remains 32K. All right, let's take a quick look at Ethereum now, since Ethereum was and is still leading the market. So Ethereum's pulled back a bit today, but I genuinely think it's only pulled back because of how much Bitcoin is struggling. Ethereum did break into uptrend zone yesterday, but it is trying its best to hang on the daily chart with the RSI there. I still think 2,500 is possible. It's not necessarily going to happen. There's, could kind of come up to about like here maybe, and then just kind of lose steam as it did there. But you can see that long wick, it is trying to hang on to support around 2,200 to push upwards. The stochastic RSI is high, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to pump, because if you look at the 4 hour, is that this 4 hour? Yeah, it is. The 4 hour for the Ethereum, the stochastic RSI is low. It's got room to go a little lower, but it's got room to pump. So when you look at the daily, it's what are the possibilities of happening here? So we still have another 48 hours until the testnet launch. My prediction, or what I'm assuming is going to happen, is either a possible push to about here, where it's going to either pull back down, probably bounce around here. My target is around this moving average. I feel like it's going to come down to about 1990, 1987. And if that doesn't hold, depending on how low Bitcoin goes, 1700 is possible. As far as the testnet pump goes, as far as Ethereum pumping over the next couple of days, 2,500 is my max cap for that move. But judging by how weak Bitcoin looks, it's probably going to be capped more around here. It's probably just going to ride this zone for the next day or two. But we're also going to take a quick look at the cloud on Ethereum, because it's kind of interesting to see the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin as far as the Kumo cloud goes. So again, it didn't quite get up here, but it's running into resistance against the cloud, and this cloud is thick. It's the same as Bitcoin. There's a lot of resistance ahead, which is why this is not the most bullish scenario for the market. And I keep tweeting about it. I keep seeing it. That doesn't mean it can't turn bullish again eventually. That doesn't mean that some kind of crazy news can't come out where everything just fires straight through. I'm just saying it's kind of unlikely, and it's best to kind of prepare for what is most likely. So as far as the pump goes, if you guys kind of take a look again here, it's just around here, 2,500, 2,600. So again, that's why we use these different ways of looking at the charts, because they give us a little bit of extra confirmation. So 2,600 would be my cap for this. It'd be pretty crazy if Ethereum somehow got into the Kumo cloud. But again, look at the level of resistance. It's got to get up to like 3,200, and that's pretty crazy. So there's also things in the Ichimoku cloud chart that helps you get a little bit of price prediction as well that I like using, but it also helps give me confirmation for things I see on other charts. And that is that we can kind of use this conversion line as a level of support if price pulls back. And that, if you look, there's 2,000 here, so it's just a little bit above 2,000. So again, price range is around 2,000, which is pretty close to my price target of about 1990. I do think if Bitcoin dips low enough, there's no necessary reason that this support has to hold. It could, as you can see here, there's no reason why it can't dip below. But again, this kind of gives us an extra visual on where Ethereum could be headed in the coming days. The other interesting thing about Ethereum versus Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is currently in here, and it's hanging on to support. It looks like it wants to push up, but this is what I mean by the clear fact that, this is the 4-hour chart, by the way. This is what I mean by the clear fact that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin intensely and carrying the market. And if you even look at the long wick here, Ethereum wants to push up. It wants to push up to about there, which is about 2,300. So, maybe judging by all this, it probably actually won't get to 2,500. So maybe this line here, which looks like it is 2,300, is going to be the max for Ethereum. So as far as price predictions for Ethereum and price action for Ethereum over the next 48 hours, $2,300 is the most likely going to be the cap. $2,500 would be pretty extreme, but the absolute limit that I'm looking at for Ethereum to pump. From there, price target still remains around 1,900, and if that doesn't hold, 1,700 could happen. But 1,900 is going to be the price target for Ethereum. All right, guys, let's take a quick look at AAVE. If you guys aren't familiar with AAVE, AAVE is a DeFi play that had a crazy run this year. It went from well below $100 all the way to about $670 at the height, crashing back down to about $170. Since then, it's just been on a straight moon mission here. It went, if you look at the RSI, it went straight into uptrend zone. But however, the couple things to take into account is that the stochastic RSI is pretty high on the daily. But if we take a look at the 4 hour, we could probably get a better idea of how this is going to play out. So looking at the 4 hour, we can kind of see that this point of about 302 has been a bouncing point in the past. So we're going to kind of keep an eye on that as like a mid-range support resistance here, which it's running into now. So if it can build support here, I wouldn't be surprised to see it shoot towards 315. If at any point it builds support above 315, then that would not be a bad time to go long. I could see the price pushing a little bit higher, but if Bitcoin starts to dip, that could go the other way. If it can't break above 300, it's going to start to ride that 273 line, 270 line. If 270 is lost, I would not be surprised to see it pull back to about 250 around here. And if, depending on what happens with Bitcoin, if 250 is lost, it should be, I wouldn't expect this to hold too much. If this is challenged, I would imagine it's going to come back down to about 196, maybe 200. So I'd probably set the target down here around 210 just to play it safe. But what happens with AAVE, what happens with most altcoins that we're going to look at will always depend on what happens with Bitcoin. So these are the ranges which I would keep an eye on as far as AAVE goes. All right, let's take a look at ADA, cult favorite by everybody. Kind of don't pay attention to any of this stuff in the far left. This is just back when I was tracking it back in like January. But let's take a look at where ADA is now. ADA is one of those charts that actually still looks pretty good. As far as the RSI goes, you can kind of see here that it never dipped too far down into downtrend territory, and it is trying to reclaim an uptrend. The stochastic RSI on the daily is pretty high though, so you might want to keep that in mind. As far as how it will approach these price targets, if it ever breaks above 159, 190 is kind of that area that you would look for. But we're going to have to take a closer look around the 4 hour chart here to get a better idea. So taking a look at the 4 hour chart here, it's kind of riding this 141 support here. As far as that goes, I would kind of look for it to see if it can break above, what is this, about 151 here. If it can build some support, I think it kind of ran to resistance there. So if it can break above 151, build some kind of support and push towards 159, if it peaks above, that's when I would look for a long towards 190. At the moment, with everything going on with Bitcoin, though, the more likely scenario is that if it does kind of ride this Ethereum testnet pump, I'd imagine it can push back towards 151, where I assume it would be rejected. From there, I would look for about, I believe this is like 130, but I wouldn't expect that to hold too much if Bitcoin is in a down. If Bitcoin hits 32K, I would imagine this 130 area to be where ADA kind of bounces, but if it starts to go below there, 123 is possible, and if 123 is lost, there is support 114, 115 kind of in here, but as you can see, anytime it's kind of lost that 123 area, it is a pretty quick move down to about $1, which has been a pretty strong support for ADA, only kind of dipping below a couple times here. But ADA on the 1 day, it's still a very good looking chart. And if Bitcoin can recover or just at least end its downfall and find some kind of support in the low 20s or just some kind of range where it's not at a constant dropping point, I think ADA has potential throughout the next few months to start pushing up, but that's entirely revolving around what Bitcoin does. So those are the levels that I'd be watching for Ethereum, or not Ethereum, for ADA. And we'll see how that plays out. But again, like all altcoins, it kind of depends on Bitcoin. And last but not least, XRP, the cult of all cults when it comes to crypto. That being said, I'm throwing no shade at the XRP community. I hold XRP. I've been holding XRP since quite a long time. I don't intend on selling it. It's kind of just a lottery ticket for me if it works out. If you guys turn out to be right, I got no issue saying good job and enjoying the ride up. If any, it's an interesting crypto because they do have a very extreme lawsuit going on that has been going on for a while, and how that all plays out is still kind of up in the air. But let's just take a look at the charts and see what the charts are telling us when it comes to XRP. So taking a look at the 1 day here for XRP, it's kind of capped in between this range, which looks like it's about 63 to just about, I guess, around 70, 75. No, it's about 70, right? Let me just double check here. That's about 72. 72 would be the range for this. So it's kind of bouncing between 72 and 63 for now. But XRP on the daily has its own kind of resistance. It's kind of built in this area. It's kind of hanging on to it. If Bitcoin starts to dip, I would not be surprised to see it go back into this range, which would mean back into this range, which looks like it's about 50 would be my target for XRP. If in some scenario things turn bullish, you would want to see this range kind of build a support here, push towards 78. If it goes up from there, anything is possible. However, charts with XRP are dicey, right? Because they do have the lawsuit going on. If there's any positive news that comes out about that, that could kind of change price action. On the daily though, however, the stochastic RSI is high. The RSI is running into resistance here. So those are reasons to kind of assume that XRP is most likely going to revisit 50 cents. Taking a closer look at the 4-hour chart kind of tells us the exact same story. It's kind of stuck in between this range here. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to build support above here. It might if Ethereum and Bitcoin really pump. I'd imagine it would just hang on to this, but target for XRP would most likely in the short to midterm be about 50 cents. That doesn't mean XRP can't take off at any point with some positive news, but as far as everything currently goes, Bitcoin does dictate the market, and things are most likely headed downwards temporarily. So my first target for XRP currently would be 50 cents, and then we will see where it goes from there. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. I hope some of these charts helped you guys out. Please do, again, keep in mind, I am not a financial advisor. I am just a talking cartoon that enjoys charts. And if you guys enjoyed what you saw today, please do like, please do subscribe. Please feel free to leave a comment down below of what charts you guys want me to pull up, because the schedule we are going to maintain is 5 charts every day, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, since they do dictate the markets. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks again. If you're not following me on Twitter, @KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Try and respond to everybody whenever you guys tweet at me. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. Have a good one. I'm out. Peace.